conversation. So I actually went to Sumner a couple weeks ago, and I went with a group. It's called Delta Scholars, and so we've been learning about the Delta, not necessarily civil rights history, but more so how we can help advance it for the future. And I was in a good mood that morning. I wasn't anticipating having a very emotional response, but as soon as I saw the sign Sumner, my heart just dropped. My stomach dropped. I felt like I was on a roller coaster, and I just start crying. And like me, it's like first thing in the morning. I'm trying not to make a scene, and I just cannot stop crying. Like I'm trying to get myself together because I'm really excited to figure out the way in which they go about explaining the history, going to the courthouse, and I do not even participate in the conversation that the rest of my cohort does. It's me and a lot of the other black women who were there and from Mississippi, specifically the Delta, and we actually ended up just sitting on a bench the entire time, crying. And then after that, I ended up calling Mr. Herman because we were going to Mount Bayou after that, and just explaining like how emotional I was, and then also just thinking about the fact that we hadn't really had a conversation before or after about the history that we were about to witness. Now, I personally, of course, know the history being from Mississippi and doing work, learning about Emmett Till and doing interviews. So it's not something that's new to me, but I wasn't anticipating this emotional response. But I was able to call them and tell them this is how we were feeling, and they were also able to shed light on the positivity of it all. But I think in a sense, it's important when you're talking to kids, preface them on what they're going to be talking about. Like have a conversation before and after, simply to ask, how are you feeling? Allow space for vulnerability. And actually, my brother was doing a civil rights camp at the two Mississippi museums, and they were going back to Sumner. So my mom was like, maybe you should go back, because I felt bad that I didn't participate. And so I was able to go. My brother's 10 years old, and I was on the bus with him and the other younger kids, and I was watching them, and also was able to talk to Mr. Salisbury for a while to explain how I was the last time, because he saw me like run out crying and everything. And it was really awesome to see my brother and the younger kids learn about this history in a way that is more community-based, where you're able to go about it with other students. And also I felt so great that I was able to talk to him on the bus and be like, hey, how are you feeling? And he didn't really have much to say, but he got it. And he said that it was a horrible thing. And I think you shouldn't expect too much from children, but allow this to be a history that's continual, because even though I may have learned about this history a decade ago, I still have emotional responses to it because it's such a traumatic history. And even I hope, until the day that I die, I will still be emotional about it, because you never want to be desensitized to it. But it's also better to have these conversations, be open about it, and allow for more information over time.
Thank you. Ms. Watts, taking the last question.